I'm here today with someone very, very special, not only to me, but to everyone who knows him. My name is Nicoline from Malta, and it is my absolute privilege and honor to introduce you to my big brother, Anton Botha. Well, brother, here we are. I don't think either of us thought this day would ever come. And I know that you were quite nervous about today, but I do believe that God has an appointment with you. And because of that, He will bless you with patience and with calmness and tranquility and a clear mind, where you're now going to share your life story only with the whole world.
Yeah, that makes it quite nerve-wracking.
No, English is not our first language, but we're going to try our best. Maybe you should start by telling us a little bit about your family life.
I've had a wonderful family life with the most loving mother and father. We used to have picnics and everything. They were just the softest people. My dad was an absolute gentleman. My mother was calm. Well, unless I raised the blood pressure, but yeah, otherwise she was calm. So, why I became rebellious, I don't know. I think it's a sense of adventure. I like those naughty oaks, and yeah, that's me. I like to get hooked with the naughtiest guy that there is.
So, you teamed up with the wrong friends, and sometimes you perhaps were the wrong friend.
I teamed up with the wrong friends, and I was always game for doing something not right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you surrounded yourself with like-minded friends.
I did.
Right. I can testify to the fact that, particularly when you were a teenager, you were the guy that parents would warn their children against, right?
Apparently, yes, yeah.
Yes. Now, when you and I talked about recording your testimony, and we recapped some of the things that happened in your life, I have to say I was once again reminded that your life is a living testimony of God's divine intervention and of His miracles. But before we talk about that, what is it that made you decide to share your testimony today? What is the objective that you would like to achieve?
The objective today is, first of all, to honor God's name, to prove that He's the most highly, and that He's always there. And even through my naughty life and doing unspeakable things, He was still there. And then someone else that's maybe stuck in the same groove that I was, to maybe shame, to deter yourself from that route. Step off that path and come back to God. He forgives anything, anytime. You just have to ask Him, and He'll lead you. He will give you the power. Not always an easy road, but He's there. He goes with you through the difficult road.
Absolutely.
So it's all to honor His name, basically. I want no glory on me. I want you guys all to understand. Putting my face on you means nothing. I'm just giving you my story.
Now we're going to focus specifically on God's clear and special intervention in your life.
Yes.
And it's interesting to me that when we talk about the sequence of events, that 6 miraculous events actually stand out. And just by talking about it with you, really strengthened my faith again. And that's what I hope will happen to whoever looks at this as well. Now, the first miracle happened quite early in your life. Tell us more about that.
I was in standard 5, and that time we didn't know much about pedophilia. Pedophilia is men that's not right in the head, and they get attached to young boys or something, and they want to do unspeakable things. But I was in standard 5, and I walked out. It's time to go home. My mother wasn't there, but there was a guy standing there, very friendly, and he said, "Listen, your mother asked me to come and fetch you because she's going to be a bit late." He was friendly, and I said, "Well, okay, no problem." Got in the car, and I went with him. He stopped at a cafe, which is on the way to the caravan park, so he was going the right route to buy me sweets.
I tell you, just hearing that as a parent, it makes your stomach crawl.
If you listen to this afterwards, it actually makes you a bit
Yeah.
that you still
But then we were taught to respect older
elderly.
people.
Yeah, that time you could still respect them. Yeah,
And we trusted them far too easily.
completely. Yeah.
So I interrupted you. What happened
No,
there?
no problem. I believe that in this time, like I told afterwards, my mother was at the school. She couldn't find me. And she asked someone, they said maybe I went home with a teacher or something. So she left again, but then she went back again. Something said she must go back again, and still didn't find me. And then on the way back to the caravan park, she stopped at the cafe. Can you believe, right next to me sitting in the car?
They're very sad.
So, to me, that timing and all happening like that that's to me as a wonder. That actually saved my life. I got out the car, got in my mother's car, and we left. Which we got known that this oak was a pedophile, and he was wanted by the police.
By the police.
So I was saved.
Absolutely. Psalms 91:11 says, "For he shall give his angels charge over you to keep you in all your ways." But your real story actually began in standard 6 or grade 8, as we call it today,
Yeah.
when you were in a technical high school. Is that right? A technical,
Yes, yeah.
is that what you say? Were you a good boy?
Yeah, I was a very good boy. I used to not say no if you have to go smoke on the field and everything. So no, I was still stuck with all the naughty guys. I'm an adventurous guy, and I like to go for the naughty guys because there's always adventure there.
And if you wanted something, you took it.
Yeah, and no was not an answer. It's yes, like finish.
A different way of saying yes.
That was me, yeah. But
And then you had your eye on our mum's car. That little Datsun.
yeah, we were staying in the caravan park. That's right. And my mother had a yellow Datsun, one of his square Datsuns, and my grandmother had a blue one, exactly the same. So we decided, my parents are gone, we're going to go to the driving with these two Datsuns. So the
With
Friday,
your world of experience of driving
I'm a very good driver
in grade 8.
without a license. And got the keys, I rode the car, went down to the friend's house who was going to ride the other car, and I drove into the garage, into the pump house wall. So I smashed the car before it even started. So, needless to say, my parents then got home on that Sunday. I was hiding under the stretcher because I knew it was coming. And eventually they got in there, and I heard my mother say, "Chris, where's my car?"
So that's where's my car?
Got out there and They were so cross with me, they actually took me to the police station.
I forgot about that.
They took me to the police station and said, "I'm going to have you locked up." I was crying all the way in the car. But they just had to go and report that there was an accident. And yeah.
Then the next episode happened in your life, which affected your health.
Yeah, then obviously after this blew over and everything, still went to school, but I could find out in school there's something not right with me because my nose would start bleeding for nothing. I was tired, I would get home after school and go lie in the bed instead of doing my homework. So something wasn't right.
Well, that sounds pretty normal when it gets to you just wanting to sleep instead of wanting to do your homework.
Yeah, no, that's me. Anything not to do homework.
But yes, when we really saw the difference is when we went on holiday and you just wanted to sleep.
Yeah, it's there by Cape Point, I think. We were walking on the one road or something.
It's
As you guys can see on the slide there, you'll see there's a slide there where I'm lying down on the road. I'm just tired. And that's being on holiday, so that's not the norm.
Yeah, I couldn't understand why you didn't want to play with me, you just wanted to sleep, and everyone thought you might just be a bit lazy. So then at one point, you became very ill. What were the symptoms?
I started swelling, water into my legs, got bigger and bigger, and eventually I had to go to hospital. I was going for treatment, and I was in hospital for 7 months, where I was diagnosed with lupus nephritis. Now, lupus nephritis is it's an autoimmune sickness where your immune system is supposed to heal you, attacks your body. So it'll go for something like your kidneys or your heart or whatever. Mine decided to go for my kidneys. And the kidneys stopped completely working. That's why my body got bigger and bigger with water. And I was being treated in Joburg by Professor Thompson. And he was giving me a lot of medicine, but I wasn't reacting. So he actually, I heard this afterwards, that he told my mother then that I've got a 50% of surviving. I'm not reacting to the treatment. Well, with this now, I presume I heard afterwards that my mother prayed to the Lord and said that if He wants to take me, then if He can give them the power to handle it, or if He wants to heal me, whichever way He decides. After this prayer, all of a sudden, miraculously, I started reacting. The water started going down. Professor Thompson said to them, okay, he's starting to react to the medication, and day by day I grew stronger and stronger.
So that is miracle number 2.
There was also a prayer that I said when I was in hospital. It's a prayer that someone came and showed me. You just lie in the bed and you ask the Lord, you lie down, you actually feel His healing power touching the area that's a problem. And I did this over and over. So I got out of this hospital because of prayer. Whether it was my mother's, whether it's mine, it's because of prayer. There's power in prayer.
Yes. Okay, so you began to get better.
Began to get better.
And stronger.
And stronger.
And did you go back to school then?
Yeah, I went home and then I felt strong enough to go back to school. I was still swollen in the face, still had some water and stuff, so being a technical school, boys can be horrible with each other. I was teased quite a lot and called Gorman and all that things. And then I had the one friend there that would stick up for me. He stuck up the right way, we tend to do things with our fists. So that's what he did, and this guy never teased me again.
That's the language.
So that's the language that works in the technical school.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Alright, and then you had to repeat a grade.
Because of being in the school for 7 months, I couldn't pass the standard.
Yeah.
So I had to do standard 6 again.
Coming back to the lupus nephritis, you were one of 11 people in the country.
Or something in the country that had at that time. Okay. They didn't really know about treatment for it at that time.
Yes. So while you were getting better, you just decided to do something with your pills.
Yeah, I was much now better. So I chucked the pills behind the door, I didn't drink them. I never drank them again.
And what happened when you went back for the next examination?
Then we went for examination again because it was every month I had to go. The doctor said, okay, well, you can't understand. The sickness is a remission. I don't have to carry on with the medicine.
So you sent them back to the drawing board because it wasn't, at that stage we were told it's not a curable disease.
Yeah,
well, right?
it wasn't something normal for them to treat. They were just trying the best.
And he explained it was in remission. It could flare up again.
Yeah,
at any
it will
time.
always be there dormant.
Yeah. So I know that it's important to you to emphasize that this is not about you, it's about showing God's miracles.
That is true. I need to say to everybody, this is not about putting my face on the screen. This is about showing God's mercy, His love, His compassion for us. And then also, if there's someone out there that's also stuck in a predicament that you don't think you can get out of, you can. You've got to talk to God. But if you're on this way, there's still a lot of things I'm going to tell you guys where I got involved in drugs and everything, but don't go there. Trust in the Lord. He will give you the power to get past anything.
Absolutely. Jeremiah 17 verse 14 says, "Heal me, O Lord, and I shall be healed. Save me, and I shall be saved, for you are my praise." We praise the Lord for His goodness in healing you at that point. Now, after you were so miraculously healed, you must have become a very good boy.
Yeah, no, I was a very sweet guy. I would go and sit with the guys and share my lunch. No.
I think not.
No, I don't know why I went rebels.
Rebellious, yes.
Rebellious, I went with the guys. I mean, I was a smoker. Started early in my life, started 6, smoking. So
Standard 6, was it grade 7 or 8 you began smoking?
Grade 8, yeah.
Okay.
So, no, I'd go with the smokers to the Rokerswal, we used to call it at school, Rokerswal. And like I said, the naughtiest guy on the field, that's my buddy. I don't want those sweet guys sharing their sandwiches. No, that wasn't me.
Yeah, and I would, like a good sister, I took every opportunity to spill the beans on you.
I know, that's why I got so much hiding.
Yeah, but it didn't seem to help for some reason. And just like that, I'm going to do that today to just remind you of some of your shenanigans. For example, the time you once again got placed in, shall we call it solitary confinement? I don't know what we call it in English. It's like timeout.
Yeah, they put you in your room and they close your door and you stay there.
And they tell you don't come out that door.
You don't come out that door.
Yes.
But they never said anything about the window.
Yes.
So I made a plan. I was in school. I built a day-night sensor. Day-night sensor would mean like the street lights work. If it goes dark on the one, it'll put a light on this side. So I lead the wires down to my mother-in-law's room. This is standard 6. And when the light goes on my side, I give it half an hour, and then I used to cut my bars out at an angle that you could just take them out nicely, jump out and go do whatever I wanted to do. I stole a car radio. The last specific night that I did get out that window, I went to go steal a car radio at a flat, and I came back with a car radio and a bag of tools and everything, and as I pushed my head through the window, I got a nice little smack. My mother was waiting for me. She always knew that, yeah.
She always knew. But now the reason you got, shall we say, put in solitary confinement is because of a specific event that happened just before that. So, as we said, no was just another yes to you.
A friend of mine went on holiday, and I got one of my other friends to come and help me, and I said to him, listen, let's go fetch his bike, he's on holiday. The friend told me no, but I'm quite persistent.
Yes.
So we went there, we got on the roof, I removed the tiles, I broke the yellow plastic, which is not supposed to be broken. And as we were sitting on the roof, we somehow along the line must have called each other's name. The uncle from next door came out and said, what are you doing? And said, no, he forgot to give me the keys for the bike, so we come to fetch the bike. But then we knew.
You were caught.
Yeah. So we immediately got off the roof and we disappeared.
And no doubt if you weren't caught, you would have taken that motorbike.
Probably, yeah, I'm persistent. But in any case, their holiday was over, and as I was sitting in the lounge one day, I saw here comes him and his dad, and I knew it's hiding time. So I didn't get hiding. That's why I got gated, because of that situation, and my friend got sent to boarding school to get away from me.
And then there was Mom's Toyota Conquest RSI.
Yeah, that was a weekend that they were gone for the weekend. I didn't have transport. I took the RSI, and me and a buddy went to Warmbat, and we enjoyed it, had a lekker nice day. I parked on the paving there somewhere. Never saw any ticker on the car. Came back. I filled it with petrol.
Genius.
And yeah, that was the genius part, because the car was half. And
initially it was only half full.
Yeah. When the parents came home, my dad immediately noticed that the car was all of a sudden full. They couldn't understand it until they got the parking ticket through the post in Warmbat. That was the hours caught.
Yes.
So yeah, that was me.
Alright, so they were at quite a loss, and I know Mom went to see our pastor at that stage to just get some help with you, and he spoke to you. Did that help?
It did. I can't remember everything he said, but I remember the pastor had a calmness about him. So I think whatever he told me, because whatever he told me sank in, and that helped for a while. I was calm.
And then you became a deacon.
Yeah, and then my dad was elderly in the church, and I decided to become a deacon as well. I was still staying at home, so it just made sense, and doing the right thing.
Yes.
Until I moved out of the house, and I went to go stay with friends for the first time, like move out of the house and stay with friends. And obviously, yeah, the drinking and the partying and everything started, and it's amazing. You still get that guilt trip, and I started feeling guilty about being a deacon, and I'm drinking like a fish and smoking like a chimney. So I resigned as deacon. Instead of leaving the crap, I rather resigned as deacon. Said to my dad, that's the reason why. He understood. He knows I'm still young, didn't approve, but yeah.
And do you feel that at this point you began to move away from God?
I did, because partying was partying. You start drinking. In all this, I've still said to Onze Vader, our Father,
Our Father's Prayer.
every night like
the Lord's Prayer.
like a recitation.
Yes.
Recitation.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do that. Your prayer should be personal and new words to the Lord that you mean.
From the heart.
From the heart. That was just gewoonte.
Just
Repetition.
yes, repetition and just
Force of habit.
yes.
It was force of habit.
Yes.
You just used to saying it. You'd say to Onze Vader, but meanwhile you just did some nonsense now and you're drinking. And
So the Onze Vader is Afrikaans for the Lord's Prayer.
the Lord's Prayer, yeah, that's the one.
Now, if I remember correctly, with your condition with lupus nephritis, you were never supposed to ride a motorcycle or smoke or eat salt in excess.
No, not at all. I did all of those things. I had biltong as much. I had gallons and gallons of beers and alcohol. I had tons and tons of cigarettes that I smoked.
Yes.
I just carried on. To me, it was nothing.
Yes. And then you got involved in the clubs quite deeply.
Yeah. I got involved in the clubs, the rave clubs. The normal clubs was okay and everything, but I was still drinking and stuff. But when I became a raver, I got involved in drugs. And that's where I want to emphasize you guys, don't even take that first one.
What kind of drugs?
It was ecstasy, cocaine, and also speed. Speed is ephedrine, it raises your heartbeat. A lot of people have died of heart attacks of that. It's actually the raw material for that is ephedrine. It's what people take for, like Thins. Thins, a diet tablet, it's got that in.
Oh.
So yeah, it gives...
Slimming tablets?
Yeah, slimming tablets got that in there. So I got involved in that, but only when I raped. I wouldn't take it at home.
I remember often seeing your diluted pupils. Was it because of that?
Yeah, it will be because of that will be the ecstasy.
Yeah. So when you weren't hanging out in clubs, you had your own disco. So you
I had a mobile disco, which was, I really enjoyed that. It was making music for people getting married or parties.
You were quite good with it.
Yeah, no, I think I was a good
DJ.
DJ.
Records with water.
No, I think I was a good DJ. It's I really enjoyed it, the money, the food and everything, the partying. That was at least a legit business, so.
But you were quite far away from God and you got involved in relationships.
Yeah, I had the life according to me, and I had relationship with married women, which resulted in me having a kid out of the one relationship.
Out of wedlock.
And I loved her like my own kid.
Still.
Because she was my firstborn kid.
Yes, absolutely.
So
very special.
Yeah. And she was naughty in the beginning, but she was my kid.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that says it all.
She got the genes from me.
All right. So then you met your wife.
Yeah. Then I met my wife.
And then did you decide to quit with the drugs?
When we got together, and I said, no, I'm done with the drugs, and I just left it like that.
Oh, you just left it like that? You weren't addicted? How's that possible? Isn't that
strength from above?
Miracle number 3, would you say?
Strength from above. You don't just get off drugs, you have to sort of wean off it.
And then you had more children?
Then I had 2, a daughter and a boy. Lovely kids. Still miss them, still love them. And all 3 of the kids got introduced to each other. And,
So throughout all the wrong decisions you've made in your life, God still brought something.
Still gave me kids which I love dearly.
Yes, something wonderful out of it. Was God in control of your marriage?
No. That's why the marriage didn't last. I was supposed to take lead, take us to church, do scripture reading at night and pray. We would pray when we eat our food, which was also just, but we didn't go to church.
Yeah.
And I think that obviously led to us having disrespect for each other, doing things we're not supposed to do, and eventually we lost respect for each other. And when she asked me to get divorced, I said to her, you know what, I got no more feelings for you, let's get divorced.
Yeah. That's very
I didn't believe in divorce because the Bible says,
Yes.
but there was no feeling and I couldn't see the sense of staying together.
Now, a very big mistake that you made in ignorance at that time was to have your children baptized in the
In a spiritistic kerk.
spiritualist church.
Yeah, it's got to do with witchery and all that kind of stuff in there.
But we didn't
but
really understand it.
No, we didn't. And I just went there because at that time I didn't have much to say about it. And I just left it at that. And I thought, well, at least they're getting baptized or something.
Yes.
But it was the wrong place.
I remember when you invited us, initially we were excited to hear that they were being baptized. We still believed in baby baptism at that stage. Which
We still did, yeah.
But I then contacted our church, we were still part of the Dutch Reformed Church, to ask them what is a spiritualist church, and they couldn't answer me. They actually told me, why don't you go and find out and come and tell us about it. So we went there, and I remember at one point we were all standing up and we were singing a hymn, and we were, right into it, and as I looked at the words, I remember it now. Grant us thy love that we may communicate with those above. And I immediately stopped singing.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then someone went to the front. You say it was a witch.
Yeah, it's a witch.
That was talking about tea leaves and receiving and whatever. And then I said to the kids and to Mom, let's get out of here. So I walked out. And at one point you came out and we had a discussion. Things weren't feeling so good, and I had to leave early. I had work to do, but then I told you I'm going to find you scripture that warns us against these things. I didn't know where it was, but when I got home, I opened my Bible, and I'm telling you, I opened it in exactly the right spot.
Yeah, the Holy Ghost works in miraculous ways.
Yes, and then I found you, and we ended up having a heated argument. Remember?
We actually had a fight there because after that we went to the plot.
Yes.
And I had some drinks in, and I reacted completely incorrect.
But the Bible is quite clear. We were separated for quite some time, the three of us. It was an awful time. But the Bible is quite clear. It says in Leviticus 19:26, do not practice fortune telling or witchcraft. There are quite a few verses about this, but 2 Chronicles 33 verse 6 makes it quite clear that these things should not form part of a Christian's life, and it deals with Manasseh, and it says that he practiced sorcery, divination, and witchcraft, and he consulted with mediums and psychics. He did much that was evil in the Lord's sight, arousing his anger. But what you didn't know is that at that time, Mom and I went on our knees and we began to pray for you. And we were very sad and extremely worried about your spiritual state of affairs. So we prayed a simple prayer. And we basically asked God that even if you had to lose everything, that He would just please not let you go. And what happened then?
Well, I did lose everything. I lost my marriage, I lost the plot, and I lost my health.
Yes.
And I thank the Lord for that.
Absolutely.
Because just getting on that, I remember a prayer just the other day where the pastor said, praise the Lord in bad times as well as in good times.
Yes.
Never stop praising the Lord because the bad times make you stronger.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. So then your marriage didn't last?
No. She asked me then, we had a talk and said she wants a divorce, and I said, well, you know what? Yeah, I don't have anything to you anymore. and we got divorced.
And where did you go after that?
Then I moved to Blackburn, got a house in Blackburn, and here I got involved in a bikers club, which was all my friends, they were in the bikers club. Also had a affair with a married woman, which I'm not going to call the names, but yeah. So I was involved with quite a bit of incorrect things.
You needed a change of scenery.
Yeah. And I thought I was happy because being in the biker club, I was Tank. My name was
I
Tank.
remember. Yes.
Everyone knew me. But no, it was not that internal happiness.
Yes.
It was all fabricated happiness.
And then things changed for you. You had
Yeah,
to
then my swar asked me if I want to go sit on a dam site.
So that's your brother-in-law?
My brother-in-law, yeah. If I want to go work on a dam, do instrumentation, I said, of course, yes. This is the break I needed to get away from all this wrongdoings. So I went to the dam site. I was there for 4 years, and I actually enjoyed working on the dam site. It was very nice in the nature. No, it was very, very nice.
Did you break with your sinful ways? Did you?
Not really. I was still involved with this certain woman from Blackburn. She would drive down and come visit me. And then eventually I spoke to Pastor Monet.
Yes, you got to know him very
And
well.
he gave me the right information to get over the
Biblical.
yeah.
Yes.
So
then something big happened in your life.
yeah, we did an installation while I was working on the dam. It was what you call the ground wall. It's the dirt, clay wall. They call it a clay wall. And after that day, we would always go home and we have a nice braai and have some beers and everything. So we went home. We put on the TV. The one guy was watching the TV. Me and Swar was outside making the fire. I lit the pipe.
Why were you smoking a pipe?
I was trying to get off the cigarettes because I was actually trying to quit smoking, but that's the wrong way of going about it. But in any case, as I lit it, my Swar still said to me, "That thing is still going to kill you." And I just said, this thing. I hardly said something and I fell to the ground. Heavy headache. I've never felt something like this in my life. And he thought I was joking because I was always the guy making jokes and everything. The other guy knew nothing. He's watching TV. So I got up and as I walked I fell into the garden again. But this, I got told afterwards that my swar looked in my eyes, my body's functions just went, and he said my eyes were stiff in my head. He thought I was dead. Somehow I woke up from there, and I had such a headache, and I knew that going to a hot water shower takes the headache away. And I tried to get to the shower and everything, and in this somewhere along the line, I even managed to phone the ambulance.
It's remarkable.
They were on my phone, and as I got to the shower, it was a messy story. I sat and opened the shower in hot water, and I sat in there and I said to the Lord, "Please take this headache away, and I promise not to smoke ever again. Watch out what you promise." I sat there, headache sort of felt like it was a bit better. Got in the bed, and as I got into the bed, the ambulance arrived. They checked me, they wanted to take me to the hospital, and I said, "No, I'm staying in bed." They gave me Allergex because it makes you sleep. So the next morning I woke up, and my swar said to me, "Listen, you're going to the doctor, you're not going to site." I said, "Okay." I felt the next morning something is not kosher. Went to doctor in Moiraveer, and I didn't stay there long, and he phoned the medical center in Pietermaritzburg and said, "I've booked your room, you're leaving now." So I went there. I drove there, which I was not supposed to do because I could have had a stroke any time. And after a while, after doing tests, they figured out that I had a brain aneurysm.
What is that?
That is where your arteries swells up, makes a bubble, and it bursts, and you get sort of basically bleeding on the brain.
Apparently that's more common with people that smoke.
It's more common with people that smoke, cholesterol, and drink. All the wrong things in life.
Just the fact that you survived something like that, a brain aneurysm, that is miracle number 4.
Exactly.
Now, at this time, and without you even knowing about it, a certain congregation in Pretoria began to pray for you. That is, before they even knew you or before you knew them. So, when you had that terrible pain in your head, you made a promise to God to never smoke again. Is that right?
Exactly. In the shower, yeah.
Keep that promise?
No.
What happened?
As I was in the medical center in Pietermaritzburg, I would go down and grab a cigarette. And
did you feel guilty?
I did feel a bit guilty, but I still didn't stop. I know what I promised, but it's just amazing how you would just push something away here. You know what? I'm going to smoke and that's it.
Did you realize at all how serious your condition was?
No. That's why I went down to smoke.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that serious. Then
you
after...
were kept in a coma, if I remember correctly, before.
Not then, when I went to Durban.
Okay.
I got transferred to Durban because I couldn't do the brain operation at the medical center, which is the Intervenie Hospital in Durban. And there also, I went down to go and smoke. Then the one time my mother thought I've lost it.
Yeah, you were.
I would say something like, they can't operate because I don't have enough enzymes. And I was apparently standing with my kidneys in my hand and all that stuff.
You thought you were standing with...
But they already operated.
Yes, the operation was finished.
And after the operation I was kept in coma for 2 days. I think this is what brought all those memories and all those. So
then you went back to Rosetta.
yeah, then I healed quite nicely and they said, okay, go back to Rosetta. No, go back, I'm done.
Yes.
I went back to Pretoria. And that's when the SWAR said, listen, we'll put the other agent on site. You first going to take a break. And I said, no.
Just a reminder, SWAR is the Afrikaans word for
brother-in-law.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that, you guys can hear I'm Afrikaans. And yeah, so I went back and we decided, now I'm going back to site. And that was the Friday. And the Saturday morning when I woke up, I cried like a baby through my eyes.
The very next day when you were back?
The very next day. And I couldn't understand why, what's the story. And which I then got to know as depression, clinical depression, which you will get when they operate on your brain. It's a clinical depression. You're supposed to be on the tablets for the rest of your life. Well, I'm not on them anymore. I've left them about 4 or 5 years ago, and I said to the Lord, I don't need these tablets, I need you. And so far I'm fine. I'm not depressed or anything.
I didn't really believe that depression was such a real thing.
No, it's a real thing. I can understand why the people are killing each other.
Yes, yeah.
Because you feel so down that even if someone says, here's a Ferrari's keys for you, you don't care. You don't want it, I'm down. Leave me alone.
Would you say this was a turning point in your life?
I had to reach rock bottom to bring me off my high horse of me being the man. And I think that was the way to bring me down to earth.
Okay. And during this time, our mom visited with you.
Yeah, it was basically in the winter time as well. She came down and that's now when I went for treatment and everything, the pills and everything. And she brought a DVD set of Mark Woodman, God's Final Call. So luckily, I think the Lord arranged all this. The site closed for 3 days. I didn't have to go work. I wasn't really in state to work. So that was a miracle by itself. We were watching this God's Final Call, we were watching Prof Fight and Doug Batchelor. And it was so interesting to me. A lot of answers got answered for me, a lot of questions. Like I say, I'm going to shake Mark Woodman's hand when I see him.
How did it change your life? What changed for you?
My Friday night joining was over. And my thinking way.
Why was your Friday nights joining over? Why? What did you learn?
I never knew that the Sabbath starts, and it's right in the middle, in the beginning of the Bible when we read Genesis. It says, and it was day 1, and it was night, and it was morning. Night does not start 12 o'clock like the Roman Catholic Church says. It starts when the sun
when
goes
the
down.
sun sets.
So you got your night first, you rest, so you can do the day.
Right.
That's what it says right in the beginning of the Bible. Why are we as people ignoring?
Yes.
I couldn't fight with that, and I didn't want to fight with it because now I understood.
Okay. Why was it on a Saturday and not a Sunday?
Well, if you looked, one of the questions I had, if you looked at the calendar, you'd see the calendar starts on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and I could never understand, you know, why don't they put the calendars Monday?
Yes.
Now it makes sense, because Sunday is the first day. The Lord never said we must hallow the first day, never. Or Tuesday or Wednesday. He said the seventh day, that's the day he
The
rested.
seventh
The
day.
seventh day, and he hallowed it.
And the word "the," I always like to emphasize that, is called a definite article, which means that which follows is something exact.
Yeah.
So it is the seventh day, not a seventh day
Exactly.
of your own choosing.
Yeah.
And that Sabbath has never changed. It's always been on a Saturday. We never knew that. It was a huge shock to all of us, and I think all of our lives changed dramatically. But
Yeah, we all used to go to Sunday.
yes, but that information wasn't just about the Sabbath. It was about obedience to God in general, and this included the fourth commandment.
Exactly.
That's right.
And the thing is also now, that's why they can't call Sunday the Sabbath, they call it the Lord's Day.
Yes.
Because they know they can't call it the Sabbath, it's not the Sabbath.
Yes.
They know it, but they still keep it.
Well, interestingly, Isaiah 58:13 actually identifies Sabbath as the Lord's Day. But that's a cross-reference that's in Revelation. Was actually, it's not a correct cross-reference. But remember, the cross-references only came much later.
Yeah,
It wasn't there in the beginning.
Yeah.
So in any case, then we came for a visit. Did you have your own Bible?
No. I've lost my Bibles a long time ago because from the moving and everything, I probably left it somewhere.
Yes.
I wasn't reading it at all. For the first time in my life, I read through the Bible and I picked up things that was very, very interesting.
Did you also find that you were hungry to read the Word?
Yeah, you carry on reading because it becomes so interesting.
Yes.
And then you might get to some books that you think, oh no, but this not. And then all of a sudden in that book, ching, something lights up. Those things you've just read and it adds all together.
Yes.
Like, just for interest's sake now, the previous denomination that I was in, they wouldn't read out of Daniel or Revelation.
Yes.
They said that was closed books. Why would the Lord put it in there?
Yes.
That's nonsense.
The book Revelation
It tells us exactly
reveals.
what's going to happen. It reveals end of time.
Exactly.
And that's why I am now part of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Yes.
Because we know exactly what's coming
Yes.
out of the Bible.
That is the reason why God gave us prophecy.
Exactly.
Is to warn us ahead of time what's going to happen. And we have the advantage today to look back through the lens of Scripture to those fulfilled prophecies. And that is what makes the Bible so remarkable. No other book contains those prophecies.
No.
Time prophecies that have been fulfilled exactly. And we knew nothing about that. I found it extremely interesting as well. All right, and then you also started watching some other DVDs and
Yeah, I started watching Prof. Walter fight and Doug Batchelor and Mark Finley. There was quite a bit of these people, and it was just interesting
yes.
because all of the views goes back to the Bible.
Did you immediately change your life, or did you continue visiting at the Rosetta Hotel in France?
No, I still went to the Rosetta Hotel because that's basically the only thing that's in Rosetta is a hotel. And if you drive too fast, you're straight through the Rosetta.
Yes.
It's a one-horse town.
Quaint little town.
So I still went there, but I didn't feel so lekker, like I was to dance with everyone and
Yes. Felt
I smoked my
uncomfortable.
cigarette, had my drink and everything. I stopped drinking. I didn't drink anymore. I still smoked. But I didn't feel welcome. Something said to me, like the Holy Ghost said, what are you doing here?
Yes.
And listen to that voice.
It is
What
a
are you doing
process.
here?
It's not always an abrupt change, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it takes a while. You can't just,
Yes.
you start feeling you don't belong here.
And then you moved back to Pretoria, and you said you became part of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. What did that entail? Did you do?
I got baptized by Pastor Mornay, which I was glad because he's the first one I met. And and he baptized me, and we became. That's where I really found out that the church community was like a family.
Yes.
Every Friday, you couldn't wait for the Friday so that you could see your family on the Saturday.
That's right.
We would have lunches on a Saturday where everyone would bring something nice, actually healthy food, which is a better coffee than any spur.
Yes.
And after that lunch, you would really go and lie down because you're tired.
Now, before you became baptized, you also did a course, stop smoking course.
I did, yeah.
Did that help you?
It did. First time in how many years I quit smoking for a while. Which was actually, food started tasting better as well, so I felt better.
Yes.
So yeah, I did quit smoking for a while. But
And then we became part of the newly established Pretoria East church community.
correct, which was a fantastic church.
It was.
We were a family.
Yes, I completely agree. And then, did you miss your Friday nights partying at all?
No. It becomes a story where you can't wait for Friday, so you can just relax, chill, switch off from the worldly things, and it's like a calmness comes over you,
Yes.
and you start watching. You can watch on YouTube. There's a lot of home-based and
Lots of
the
channels.
3ABN Sabbath School, which is nice. That's what it's about.
Did you lose a lot of friends in the process?
I did. The friends that's been there for all the years, I've lost them, lost contact.
Why do you think that is?
I'm not that lekker ook anymore. I'm not the
The old
drinker,
Anton.
old Anton. Yeah, since I've been staying in Pretoria, not one of them come to visit me yet. But I'm not going to visit there the whole time, so I just decided it's time for a new
Has to come
friendship
from
base.
both ways.
My friendship base is now in church.
I've always maintained that the change in you reminds me of Paul's Damascus experience, and the change is just so remarkable from the old Anton to the man you are today, that there's just no other way than to know it is God that intervened in your life, and we praise Him for the change in you. But we're not done with your miracles yet. What happened after that? Miracle number 5. You were still looking for work, and you were mowing the lawn.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were staying in that house, and I know there was a bee nest there, and I would cut the grass. So that morning I woke up, can't remember what day it was, I cut the lawn. I must have aggravated the bees because one bee stung me on the ear. And that's when I found you.
And you were allergic to bees.
I was
You only
allergic
found
to
that
bees,
out.
I knew that.
Yes.
I had nothing to take, EpiPen and all those things. I didn't have that. So somewhere along the line I ended up in the bathroom, and when I opened my eyes again, my swat was busy taking me to the... Well, when I found you, you were on your way to UNISA.
I was really at UNISA,
University
which is
already,
like an hour away. And then you just stopped talking and put the phone down. And I couldn't get
Yeah,
hold of
I
you.
don't know exactly. I might have just lost the phone. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yes, I was frantic. I phoned Corey, and he was in heavy traffic, stuck in heavy traffic, but he drives a Land Rover, and he took full advantage of that. He drove over pavements and he raced home.
Everything, yeah.
And then he had to drag your heavy body out of there because you were sort of
So I was
quite there.
knocked out. I was out, passed out. I know he broke the boom at Pretoria Oos, and then he broke the door
At the hospital.
into the hospital
Emergency.
because it didn't open fast enough.
Yes, alright, so you made quite the entrance.
Yeah,
Alright, and then they treated you quite,
they said it was touch and go.
yes, it was a matter of minutes.
I was on a drip and everything, and
Alright, so that was another miracle in your life.
for sure.
And then at some point you got involved in personal bodyguarding. Right.
I need to say something about that piece that I forgot, that I just thought about now as well. The next Sabbath in church, I actually stood up in front of everybody and said, listen, people, we've got to make sure that our lives are correct, because I think that was part of the witnessing, is that a small little bee could have ended my life, and if it wasn't sorted with the Lord, I would have been lost.
I
So we
forgot
all
about
have
that.
to remember,
Yes.
we must all look at our lives and see that because your day is not promised tomorrow.
Yes.
The Lord doesn't promise it. He says, enjoy today to fullest.
And when you do something wrong, I mean, we all fall.
Ask immediately.
Immediately. Don't wait
Immediately.
until tonight.
Yes.
Yes, I completely agree.
Do that.
Yes. All right, and then we get to the personal bodyguarding. Interesting people that you worked with.
Yeah, no, it's different characters. I started working with them. As I went for the interview with the guy, I said to him, the story about Sabbath. He said, we'll make a plan.
So you accepted the job on...
The story that I'm not working on Sabbath,
Yes.
and he said he'll make a plan. And everything went well for a while, and then all of a sudden one weekend we ended up in Middelburg, because the guy we were protecting had 3 wives, and the one in Middelburg, something wrong with her upstairs in brain, she would overdose on drugs, so he has to go and visit her and calm her down. So
Perhaps because she was one of 3 wives.
So I ended up in Middelburg on a Sabbath, which I felt I do not, even though I wasn't working, I was just standing next to the bike. That's not where I was supposed to be. I'm supposed to be with a communion of Christians on the Sabbath. That's where I must be.
And if we take a look at that photo in your left hand, there's something there.
Oh yeah, that's a cigarette. Yeah, I was still smoking.
You began smoking again?
Yeah, I began smoking.
Even after you were baptized? Right.
Broke my promise to the Lord.
Would you say that your temptations become worse after you are baptized?
For sure. Definitely. For those of you out there, you've got to be strong and you've got to pray much more after you've been baptized. The temptation and the demons and those things, oh no.
You can't overcome it in your own strength.
No, not yourself. No, forget it. You gotta. It's amazing when you pray, your thinking just changes all of a sudden. That wrong feeling is just gone. So pray as much as you can.
Which brings us to miracle number 6. So you began smoking again.
Yeah. So I was still working for these bodyguard guys. The Sunday morning, I was working on a Sunday, which was fine. He said to me, take a contract to one of the bodyguards, which was at one of the wives' houses or whatever. So I took it there and came back, stopped at the garage where I parked, had a cigarette, went up to reception. As I got to top of reception, I had a pain right here that made me pulling cramp together. We had 2 medics on the team, one on the team A, one on team B. And he came down and he said, okay, now you're having a heart attack. It left me a bit, I felt okay, and then all of a sudden they came back and said, no, we're going to hospital. We went to hospital.
Were you scared?
I don't know what I was, just the pain. I was just concentrating on the pain. It was horrible. They stabilized me, and there wasn't a place in the cardio hall, so they booked me in the psych ward. I'm not going to say much about it, but there's some more copies in that place. There was some real nuts in there. I was there for a day and a night, and the next day, luckily I was placed in the cardio hall, and I got transferred to cardio. While I was here, I went to the canteen. I'll take a walk because I can't just lie in the bed. And first thing I saw was an old tannie coughing, that smoker's cough. I thought, Tannie, jy's amper dood. You're almost dead. And I was looking at the other ones with a cigarette in their mouth, and I thought, you bunch look like a bunch of idiots with a cigarette in your mouth.
And you did exactly
and it gave me a light bulb moment, and that was it. I was done.
So, as our dad regularly said to you, some people really need to learn the hard way.
I'm one of them.
Yes, Hebrews 12:6-7 says, for whom the Lord loves, he chastens, and scourges every son whom he receives. If you endure chastening, God deals with you as with sons. For what son is there whom a father does not chasten? So that chastisement, meaning discipline, brought about that light bulb moment in your life.
Yeah.
Right. So back to the Sabbath challenges. Was it difficult for you in this new job? Did they challenge you on that?
They did. Like I spoke to him about it, there was a while that they would take the helicopters to Sun City because he would go to Sun City, whatever, and they wouldn't take me with. So I lost out on flying in helicopters, but it was fine. I didn't work on weekends. And the one weekend, the principal, we call him the principal. He said he wanted all the bikers on the trip, and I arranged for someone to take my place on the other team. And the Thursday night I phoned him to just double check, and he was still sitting at the seat. He said, "No, it was a story." I said, "You others are not going to help me." And I said to the guy in charge, I said, "I'm resigning immediately. I'm not coming back tomorrow. I'm done. This is the situation." And he basically understood. He had respect for me, and I had respect for him.
But you weren't willing to compromise
No,
on Saturday.
as I said, I wasn't going to do that again.
Right.
And I left. Klaar.
And by the grace of God, you found another job.
Yeah, I found another job, and I became geotechnical in the instrumentation that I did. With the previous guy that used to work with us when I was working for my SWAT. He was just now the boss, well, the manager. And everything was not too bad, but then I started picking up language and his unethical ways of doing things. And I thought, no, since once you've got a certain way, you've learned a certain way of living like a Christian, you can't deal with this.
It's not that you think you're better than anyone
No, I'm not
else,
better than him, but I don't want to be part of this.
Yes.
That's it.
You
I
make
want
the
to get out of
decision to turn away.
like the Bible says, come out of it.
Yes.
Let's come away from him.
Yes.
And I had to resign. And it wasn't long. I think I had a week around to rest. Then I started doing handyman work.
Yes.
So
You
the
were
Lord-
never without work for
No,
a
I was
long time.
never without work. And there was,
Yeah.
the Lord was always providing for work and everything.
And then later you got to
And then-
work at BMW.
Yeah, and then after that, I used to still go and visit at BMW and drink coffee there. Everyone went on friendship basis. And the one day I just popped in there and they said to me, "Do you still want a job here?" And I said, "Of course I do." And I got the job at BMW.
Are you happy there?
They was happy because they treated you with respect. There was no ugly words swearing from those guys, ugly words coming from their mouth. It was all nice. It was like a nice family.
So
I
all
enjoyed
went
it.
well until December 2022. What
22,
happened?
yeah. I could feel as I'm loading the bikes that my legs, not the same. I don't have the same power that I used to have. And morning by morning, and then I used to get up in the mornings and I'd be sick. And I thought, no, something is wrong. So we were closed on between 25th and end of the year. We were on leave at home. I spent in bed. I wasn't
I
like a.
remember.
And then in January, I think I
We
booked-
thought it was a stomach bug at first.
Yeah, we thought
Yes.
it was that. But then I booked myself in a sleep leaker and
Your legs started to swell.
my legs started to swell, so that's why I had to book in there. And I picked up septicemia in the hospital, which I'm very sure because of the dirty ongevallen.
The emergency.
The emergency
was-
hall,
yes.
yeah, because there was pee on the floor and everything. The place was just a mess when I was there.
Septicemia is quite serious.
Septicemia, not a lot of people survived. It actually pushed me into a state all the treatment that I was hallucinating for 3 days.
Yes.
But eventually by
You
the...
thought you were on a spaceship.
Yeah, that was a funny. I lying my bed in a spaceship, but
It was, for a minute, it was quite entertaining, but you were very serious. We were very worried about you. And, but at some point, the treatment began to work.
yeah, started feeling better, and that's when I got told that I was tied down to the bed, and I tried to pull the drip out and lost some blood. They had to give me
You
blood.
managed it. You pulled the dialysis pipe out of your main artery. You lost a lot of blood. It was quite scary. They had to give you 2 pints of blood.
Ah, okay, see, I was in a coma. I didn't even know that.
Yes. So the treatment started to help, but what was the doctor's prognosis? What did they say?
Well, a few weeks ago, as I was coming out of, they said to me my kidneys stopped working.
So on the 13th of April, that's right.
Yeah. And I came out of dialysis, and they said to me, the doctors want to speak to you. And my mother came to pick me up, but they want to speak to your mother as well. So that's when we went inside. We sat in the cubicle, and there was 2 doctors said to me, "Listen, we're going to take you off dialysis because you are sort of a risk. Because you've had a brain aneurysm and you've had a heart attack, and you got lupus. The chances of well, you can't have a kidney. That's basically what it boils
You're
down.
not a contender for a transplant.
You're not a contender for a transplant. So my worst thing was, so I'm going to die. I just said it straight and I looked in the eyes and they had like no response and they said, well, we can't treat you anymore. So I was calm. I was calm about it and said, you're not in charge. The Lord is. That was my words to them.
And what was
And
his reaction?
they also like a numb reaction, like in yeah, that kind of attitude.
So you're saying that if they immediately stopped with the dialysis, what would happen?
Depending on how much liquid I drink, I might have a week or 2 weeks.
Because at this point you're receiving dialysis 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm sticking to the 500, so it's basically you're going to drown. Your lungs full with water and you can't breathe.
And then you asked for the pastors to come and pray for you.
Yeah, and then I gave the news to the pastors and everything, and they came and they just Pastor Dion, Pastor Lornay, and Pastor Yapi straight on. And then a friend of mine and my mother, and they came in and anointed me at my house.
Okay. James 5 verse 14 to 15 says, is anyone among you sick? Let him call for the elders of the church and let them pray over him, anointing him with oil in the name of the Lord. And the prayer of faith will save the sick, and the Lord will raise him up. And if he has committed sins, he will be forgiven. Can you still do the work that you've done before?
No, I've got no power in my legs. And what I presume is because of being on dialysis, you will never have the power in your legs again, because it takes out your protein as well. So
Are you
the
worried
treatment
about it?
keeps you alive, but it's also killing you.
Yes. Yes.
It does lead to heart attacks as well. So
It depletes you, which is why you used to weigh 83?
83 and I'm 65.
65.
Yeah, half of me is lying asleep, Bika.
Are you worried about the future?
No, because I know who's in control, and he always knows the best. If it's time for me to go and sleep, I'll put my head down with trolls. I've had my life.
Pride, yes.
Yeah, with pride. But I'm pretty sure I've still got some more stuff to do, which would add on to this witnessing.
Yes.
I believe in a God of miracles.
Yes.
And you got to wait till right at the end.
Yes.
I mean, he raised Lazarus in the 4th day.
That's right.
What is a small little kidney? I'll just look at it and it'll be.
Yes.
So I've still got my beliefs.
Amen. Thank you, my brother, for being so brave to share your testimony with the world, not only in Afrikaans but also in English. And it's very touching to me. I'm in awe of your faith and of your trust in God, and for you being so positive despite the challenges that you face on a daily basis. And for us as a family, we draw great strength in the knowledge of knowing that you really are a man of God. And your calmness and your positive attitude that you've always had is what gives all of us strength as well. I also pray that your testimony will touch many people, and that they will once again turn to God to love and honor and obey the one who made us, and who loves us so much that even if you were the last person on earth, he would still die for you. So just to end off, when our Bible study group were just beginning to learn about the truth that you also learned about in Mark Woodman's DVDs, I had the honor of speaking to him on the phone, and this was just a few days before he went to sleep in the Lord. And even though he was weak, he was adamant that we as a Bible study group should hold on to Joshua 1. And it's a special few verses, but if you don't mind just reading that, because I want you to hold on to that as well.
You want me to read it?
Yes, please.
Okay. Only be strong and very courageous, that you may observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded you. Do not turn from it and to the right hand or to the left, that you may prosper wherever you go. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and good courageous. Do not be afraid, not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go.
Absolutely. Keep that with you. There might be some people watching today that feel that what they've done is just, their sin is just too big to be forgiven, that God cannot forgive them. Would you mind reading the next 2 verses just to end off with?
Okay. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that's within me. Bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who forgives all your iniquities, who heals all your diseases. He has not dealt with us according to our sins, nor punished us according to our iniquities. For the heavens are high above the earth. So great is his mercy towards those who fear him. As far as the east is from the west, so far has he removed our transgressions from us. As Father pities his children, so the Lord pities those who fear him.
Thank you.
Amen. Thank you.